Masks occupy an important place in the cultural traditions of mankind. In different centuries and in different countries, they were used to hide the true face, to intimidate, or to intimidate. Many people have found and are finding a lot of frightening and at the same time attractive in masks. And of course, sometimes very unpleasant entities can settle in them. One guy told me that he once flew to Guatemala as a volunteer for a program to help the poor, and for a while they lived in dirty houses almost in the middle of the jungle. One day off, he went to the local market and decided to buy souvenirs for himself and friends. An interesting wooden mask caught his eye and he bought it.
The mask was covered with pink paint and painted with various ethnic symbols. At the same time, despite the bright color, she created an eerie impression, and she had well-cut sharp teeth in her mouth. Her expression was generally quite angry, but she didn't bother me until that particular night.
That night, this man woke up to the voices of other volunteers. They were discussing an unusual incident, namely that the front door slammed shut with all its might on its own, and then a loud bang, similar to a drum, began to be heard. One person went to inspect everything, but found nothing that could make such a sound.
When I went upstairs, I saw that all the windows in the rooms were wide open, and it was obviously not the wind, since there was no wind at all. Then one of us said that he had seen strange shadowy figures in his room and that he needed to go for the pastor to drive out the spirits. We were all very excited and started discussing what could have caused this incident, and somehow unexpectedly switched to the fact that all this could have come from my evil mask hanging on the wall. And when the pastor came to us soon after, he immediately said that it could have been a mask. After that, I took the mask off the wall and decided to throw it away. Our house was on a hill, so when I threw her out the door, she rolled downhill. However, the rest of the night passed in the same eerie atmosphere. We heard something scratching at the walls and running fast on the ceiling. The next morning we were all exhausted and sleepy, and when we joined up with another part of our group for breakfast, we told them about the night incidents. They immediately stated that they had had nightmares that night and that someone had seen a shadowy figure. A local translator intervened in our conversation and said that we need to find this damned mask and burn it, and then everything will calm down. We started looking for the mask where I threw it away, but couldn't find it, and then suddenly we saw it in a burning pile of garbage. It turns out that a gardener found it early in the morning and immediately decided to burn it. After that, all the oddities stopped.
A similar story happened to another guy who went to Liberia, and there bought a mask similar to the head of the male genital organ, which was worn by Sandy, a secret society of women.
I bought this mask and brought it to Europe, and since then at night I began to hear soft female screams in my room. At first I thought they were coming from somewhere on the street, but I heard them too often for our generally quiet and small town. At the same time, the mask felt like something unfriendly to me. Last night I heard women's screams again, and now they sounded louder and clearer, and in the background there were other women's voices singing some song. When I entered the living room in the morning, where this mask hangs, I immediately felt that she was looking at me. This feeling was even when I turned her to the wall. I do not know what to do with it. I do not want to destroy the mask, and I do not want to give it to anyone. Also, I don't want to involve priests. I live alone, and maybe the mask feels upset about something?
Another story about the possessed mask was published on the Haunting Darkness website. The woman wrote that her sister Rose had kept a similar mask for some time.
My sister is an esoteric and believes in chakras and negative energy. She helps people who have problems. One of her clients brought this mask, saying that there was dark energy in it and that the mask wanted to be with her. This man was terrified of this mask and asked to take it to get rid of this thing. The sister started working with the mask and believes that she managed to establish contact with this spirit and free it from the mask, after which she returned the mask to its former owner. I'm skeptical about my sister's line of work, but I'm glad that everything ended so well.
Another story called Devil Mask came from the Reddit site. The user who told it claimed that he was from an Indian tribe, and that this mask was part of a very dark story. Once there was an Indian shaman who had great power to heal and even raise people from the dead. At the same time, he used dark rituals for this, including blood sacrifices. With the help of rituals and spells, he could castrate an unwanted man, perform a forced abortion, remove important organs from the body of a living person, drink people's blood, mutilate them, and do other terrible things. One day they decided to take revenge on the shaman, caught him and sentenced him to death. But at the last moment, he managed to put on a mask made of human skin and bones and declared that if he was killed, their suffering would be even worse. Nevertheless, he was beheaded, his remains burned to the ground, and the mask was also thrown into the fire, but, to the amazement of the Avengers, it did not suffer at all from the heat. Therefore, the mask was hidden in a secret and secluded place. However, this did not stop its destructive power. Soon, the villagers from where the Avengers came from began to get sick and die. The elder's grandson died first, then an incomprehensible disease attacked people, the fields dried up, pregnant women began to suffer from miscarriages, healthy adult men died on the spot from heart attacks, and so on. It ended only then. When the cursed mask was taken much further away, and buried in a deep ravine. And now this user claimed that he managed to find this mask in an old antique store.
It was standing in the window and was signed as an authentic Indian mask for sale. It looked creepy, was blood red in color and with horns on its forehead. When I saw her, I immediately remembered that very legend about the shaman. I was looking at the mask and it was looking at me through the glass of the showcase. It felt like she could see right through me with my fears and thoughts. Then I called my great-grandfather and told him about the mask, and he immediately excitedly asked me where it was. I said I saw her in an antique shop and then we went there together. But we were too late. When we arrived, it turned out that there was a fire in the building next to the store and the flames quickly spread to this store. Several people and many objects died in the fire, but I know for sure that the mask did not warm and it was not in the window. The damn thing just disappeared.
In the American Traveling Museum of Unusual Things, the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and the Occult keeps a mask in which something strange lives. She is bright red in color with bulging eyes and swollen cheeks. The museum gave her the name Blowing Face, according to the owners of the museum, Dana and Greg Newkirk. The mask was sent to them by mail by an anonymous sender, and together with it in the package there was only a strange note excuse. Me? The mask was dirty and covered with traces of urine, but then it was cleaned and the person who cleaned it, of course, tried to apply it to his face. Many of us would do this with different masks. But half an hour after that he felt sick, he felt nausea, dizziness, and he had a feeling that his soul was leaving his body. Subsequently, many who tried to wear this mask felt exactly the same. In addition, they were suddenly filled with strong negative emotions, such as jealousy or rage. The mask is still kept in this unusual museum, and anyone can feel its harmful effects on themselves.